Here are the crypto top headlines covered in this video. Interview with Perianne, the founder and CEO of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Next, BlackRock Bitwise file updated spot Bitcoin ETF applications with the SEC. Also, Bitcoin prices should logically correct in January, but crypto's a wild card. Welcome to Crypto Top Headlines, where there's no clickbait thumbnails or titles, and no speeches on my opinions, just bringing crypto's news to you. We are a new channel here on YouTube, and would greatly appreciate it if you would click on the like and subscribe buttons, as well as the notification bell. It does help support the channel, so thank you in advance for doing so. Now, on to these headlines. Our first top headline is an interview with Perianne, who is the founder and CEO of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. This interview was on Fox Business on December 4th.
So on any given day, it's really kind of hard to figure out or pinpoint what moves cryptocurrency, right? In particular Bitcoin, but lately it does seem like all the stars have aligned and a whole lot of folks are now jumping on the bandwagon. Last week, for instance, last night rather, Cathie Wood tweeted a U.S. Space Force major urging the Department of Defense to adopt Bitcoin. Of course, there was that major election in Argentina and legal convictions, right, of some of these really serious bad actors around Bitcoin all seem to have played a major role. Then, of course, there's this fading appeal of would-be central bank digital currencies. It's all created this impression that, well, this really, it's not just an impression. We can see there's a sort of sale, a wind in the sails. The question, of course, is where does it go from here? Where does this current Bitcoin rally go? I want to bring in now Chamber of Digital Commerce founder, CEO, Perianne. All right, Perianne, I want to begin with the efforts of the government to derail Bitcoin, these central bank digital currencies. I'm reading now where more and more of them are saying they're failing, that they can't live up to the hype, and there's no interest.
Yeah, governments have really been putting their thumb on the scale of innovation and trying to hold back crypto digital assets, including Bitcoin. But technological progress can only be held back in the short term. In the long term, technology is moving forward. And that's what we're seeing in the markets. We're seeing, we saw today, El Salvador put out a statement saying their Bitcoin investments are in the black, yielding the country billions of dollars in profit. You mentioned Argentina just elected a pro-Bitcoin president, so we'll expect to see some moves there. We're also hearing rumors that multiple sovereign wealth funds are planning to make very significant investments in Bitcoin. So there is definitely this dichotomy happening between the open source money and closed source money of CBDCs, and we're getting a rally right now.
Yeah, and let's talk about adoption rates, because one of the pushbacks against this was the adoption rates. Aren't they picking up pretty good?
So currently today, over 56% of U.S. households own Bitcoin. So we have arrived.
Wow.
We're on track to have 90% adoption by the year 2029. And it is projected that when we have 90% adoption, the price of Bitcoin will be $1 million because there is that limited supply.
Let me ask you, how do you feel when you see like high-profile folks like a Cathie Wood? She's jumped on the bandwagon. She's got 5 products. She's out there tweeting about it. I was at the Nutcracker last night, saw one of the Winklevoss twins. I almost asked him, but I didn't bother. But what do you make of it? I mean, is it pro or con? Is there a contrarian element to it for you?
Well, I mean, the Winklevoss twins have been in this space for 10 years. Cathie Wood's been in this space for quite some time as well. But investors, they don't want to be left behind. They're seeing that the train is leaving the station. When you have the U.S. government is projected and estimated that the U.S. government owns 1% of all Bitcoin today. It was just shown according to a study by Grayscale, that the 5th largest individual holder of Bitcoin is the U.S. government. So when you see the U.S. government, you see other countries, when you see the likes of BlackRock and Fidelity getting in this space, investors are taking note, and they don't want to be left behind.
All right, so I saw where there's a current model, there's all kinds of models out there, but one Bitcoin model suggesting that the value could be as high as 200,000. I guess the question would be, how far out could something like that potentially be?
Right, so Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin today is around $41,000. Its all-time high was $69,000. It hit that roughly two years ago. So Bitcoin is up, But according to the models, it's still undervalued. If you run a trend-aligned analysis on the historical price of Bitcoin today, that model's over 86% accurate.
Right.
It has the price of Bitcoin at 110% of fair market value today. And in stock to flow, priced in dollars, has it at 100,000. And if you price it in gold, it has it in $210,000 today.
210,000. Let's leave it there.
Our next top headline, BlackRock Bitwise file updated spot Bitcoin ETF applications with the SEC. BlackRock and Bitwise updated their S-1 filings for spot Bitcoin ETFs with the SEC on Monday. Asset management giant BlackRock filed an amended S-1 filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission for its proposed spot Bitcoin ETF on Monday, with a similar move also taken by Bitwise. While the regulator has yet to approve a spot Bitcoin fund and has so far delayed all the applications it's received, analysts said the movements could signal that discussions are ongoing. They're just pouring in, Bloomberg intelligence analyst James Seifert wrote on X. We have another spot Bitcoin ETF S1 prospectus amendment tonight. This one is from BlackRock. SEC is obviously giving multiple issuers the same or very similar instructions. The wheel is still turning, Seifert continued. Both the SEC and these issuers are working hard to iron things out. These filings are likely the result of many conversations and a lot of man-hours on/between both sides. Updated language. The updated BlackRock filing included new language about efforts the trust administrator will take to monitor for unusual price movements. It also added language about anti-money laundering compliance and included an audited statement from PricewaterhouseCoopers. The sponsor and the trust will only interact with known third-party service providers with respect to whom the sponsor or its affiliates have engaged in a due diligence process to ensure a thorough KYC process, such as the authorized participants, market makers, prime broker, and Bitcoin custodian, the updated filing read. Bitcoin has surged amid speculation that the SEC could be getting ready to finally approve a spot fund. The world's largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization has surged 20.6% over the past month and is currently trading just under $42,000. Our next top headline, Bitcoin prices should logically correct in January, but crypto's a wild card. Bitcoin should logically be headed for a sell the news correction in January, according to analysts, but that doesn't mean that's how it's going to shake out. The price of Bitcoin should logically undergo a correction once spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, are approved, though commentators also concede that crypto is a wild card. Bitcoin has been gaining momentum over the last 11 months, with a jump in March amid banking uncertainty, another spike in June when BlackRock filed for a spot Bitcoin ETF, and again in October, similarly due to optimism over spot Bitcoin ETF approvals. On December 3rd, Bitcoin cleared the $40,000 mark, its highest level in 19 months. Sell the news event. James Edwards, a cryptocurrency analyst at Finder, said that logically the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF should trigger a sell-off event. I'd like to say that logically this makes it a sell the news type event. Buy the rumor, sell the news is a phrase that describes a situation where a stock or asset rises ahead of anticipated positive news or events but falls once the news is confirmed or the event occurs. The idea that this is going to lead to widespread institutional buying on day one is a bit too optimistic, explained Edwards, adding that it is unlikely fund managers will ape in the moment it goes live. It could be months, if not years, before we see truly groundbreaking inflows, he added. Crypto is a wild card. However, many, including Edwards, say this doesn't mean a material correction is definitely on the cards. Ryan McMillan, Chief Investment Officer of Merkle Tree Capital, admitted that while Bitcoin hasn't seen a correction for over 100 days now, meaning that the risk of correction is rising, the spot Bitcoin ETFs are also the most hotly anticipated ETF launch ever, and that any sell-off will be quickly brought up. Meanwhile, C.K. Zhang, co-founder of cryptocurrency investment firm ZX Squared Capital, believes any price pullback will be shallow. We expect any market pullback will be shallow as fundamentals for BTC are greater than ever, which include the upcoming BTC halving next year, the massive money printing by global central banks, and the continued geopolitical uncertainty around the world, he said. Even Edwards conceded that cryptocurrency is nothing but a wild card, and that even when logic dictates a correction to occur, that doesn't necessarily mean it will happen when it comes to crypto. December outlook. Analysts don't foresee Bitcoin losing steam in December either. Edwards said there are already early signs that institutional investors have been speculating on the ETF approvals, with inflows to existing Bitcoin futures ETFs ramping up in recent days. At worst, I expect prices will remain flat while investors await confirmation either in charts or from an ETF approval. Crypto lawyer Joe Carlosar also sees little chance of a serious Bitcoin correction before ETF approval in an ex-post on December 4th. Why would any big sellers appear when we're weeks away from likely approval, said Carlosar. Meanwhile, a mass spot Bitcoin ETF approval could be enough to put the mainstream focus back on the cryptocurrency market, said Henrik Anderson, Chief Investment Officer of Apollo Capital. The industry is awaiting a highly anticipated potential approval window between January 5th and January 10th, 2024. So this concludes our top headlines. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to click on the like and subscribe buttons, as well as the notification bell. Also, leave your thoughts in the comments and share this video with your friends and family. Thank you all for watching Crypto Top Headlines, bringing crypto's news to you.